Bienvenido, everyone, and welcome into the Soccer Talk Lads podcast. I had to hit you with a little Spanish there since I was in Miami last week while the two other wonderful lads on this podcast recorded, but I am back. My name is Stephen Ground, and I have no credentials to be hosting this podcast, but I am joined by a credentialed reporter for St. Louis City SC, our very own Justin Horniker. Justin, you were in St. Louis on the during the aftermath of the first match with Union Omaha, the only match with Union Omaha. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Hopefully the only match. I hope there's not a replay in the future, but
no. Well, I'd be happy to replay those results for sure, but we'll talk about that a little later. We have Ian is set to join us sometime in the middle of this podcast. He had a conflict called being an adult, which neither Justin or I have ever had to deal with. So
no idea what that means, but yeah, we're rolling with it. Steven,
it really sucks.
Yeah, Steven, in Miami last week, did you see Messi while you're there, or can you give us any update?
I went to Miami to film something in a hotel room, and that's all I'm gonna say. No, we had to film some like promo material for my company. Right. We had a guy over from the UK who's only here a couple times a year, and he was down in Miami. So I left Jacksonville at 4 a.m., got to Miami around 9, got to my destination around 10 because of Miami traffic. And then we were in the hotel pretty much all day. We took like a 1-hour walk around like the street, saw the beach a little bit and everything else. And then we went back and had like a 5-course Spanish dinner at the hotel, which was, I'm not that fancy when it comes to food. So it was like a bit above what I'm aiming for, but it was still good. It was nice.
The uncomfortability, did that take away from the taste of it at all?
No. I mean, it was 10 people, only one of whom I knew, and only another one of whom that I kind of knew. And so it wasn't my favorite. I'm an introvert, but it was great. It was great. It was fine. It was a lovely night. I didn't have to pay for dinner. That was beautiful as well. So it was good. And then I went right to bed, and then I got up at 4 to drive home. So it did, I never thought of Miami as a city I super wanted to visit. Like, I'd visit any city because I love to travel, but it wasn't like high on my list. And now that I've been there, it's like, oh, I kind of want to go back and spend some time there,
But I'm not young and South cool. Florida a lot more than I like the rest of Florida in my experiences.
Yeah. Oh, I got a real lecture on South Florida today during a work meeting. I said, so I live in Jacksonville, which is very North Florida. And I said South Florida. I said, we were talking about somebody who lives somewhere in Florida. And I said, they live in South Florida, I think, although, maybe the Tampa area. And then I was lectured that Tampa is not South Florida, which technically it is central on the East Coast, on the West Coast rather, of Florida. But I was very put in my place. But it is south of Jacksonville by a considerable ways. So,
Now, here's a question for
that. It's
a
big ass state. Because of its weird shape, you don't really notice that, but it's a giant state. Because to get from Jacksonville to Miami, and which is not actually the southern point if you consider Key West, is like 5 hours with good traffic. And to get from Jacksonville to Pensacola, which is the other end of the panhandle, is also like 5 hours with good traffic. So it's big.
Would they consider Fort Lauderdale? Is that in South Florida? Where's the cutoff exactly? Asking for Inter Miami.
I think the cutoff is like Naples and further south.
Okay.
I think it's like really that bottom cone.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. I'm not
the Miami land area is like South Florida.
Basically, which is most of it. Yeah, for sure. But I'm not a native, so it's hard to know. Fort Lauderdale definitely would be though, because that's like Miami land. It's just on the West Coast. So East Coast. Why do I keep mixing those up? I'm going to stop talking about Florida geography because obviously I'm not qualified.
They're going to come for us in the comments, Stephen.
That's right. Let's talk about Florida as a flat and warm state. So let's talk about a high and cold state of Colorado, where St. Louis City SC visited I almost said 1 week ago. This was only Saturday.
A few days.
What a god-awful performance by most of the team except for Roman Bürki, who was the only reason that we won this game. It's funny, my boss, as I believe we've mentioned, is a German native. He's specifically a Dortmund fan, and he thinks Roman Bürki is absolute trash. Wow. I had to tell him that Roman Bürki saved our bacon on
12 saves, a career high. Did you tell him that this was better than his 2017 performance against Bayern Mönchengladbach, where he had 11 saves?
I didn't. I should have. I wish I'd known. But yeah, it was a rough game. It was Roman Bürki from the very start until the very end, and then they got the equalizer, which was just piss poor defending. Justin, why don't you walk us through this one?
Yeah, and I think like the first half, we don't need to talk about too much. I think there was clear that something wasn't quite working. Like you said, Bürki needed to be on his game. I think he made 7 saves in the first half. All of them very much working hard to get there. It just, something connectivity wise wasn't working. And I think a lot of that is like Akil Watts getting the start at defensive mid. Not to say that I don't enjoy Akil Watts as a player, but obviously it wasn't working. And Colorado had kind of learned from the Minnesota game plan of like, if you just stack things, keep yourself compact, don't try to push the envelope too much, like it's easy to, not easy, but you can exploit those areas a bit. So first halftime comes 0-0. Coming out of the half, some adjustments were made. Indiana Vassilev comes on for Akil Watts, and I think that makes a lot of the changes here. Cardinal talked about Vassilev gives him a base to adjust, a base to attack from, because he's just a good defensive player, but also, very hard-nosed as well, which is interesting considering like he wasn't that player at the start of his career, but he's definitely morphed into that player now. So all St. Louis really for the 30 minutes from the 45th minute to the 75th minute, and we'll talk about how it all comes down from there. But Rasmus Alm, Jared Stroud had great communication from wing to wing. Stroud misses a pretty nice attempt that Alm floats into him, and then a couple minutes later, Alm scores on a very similar play where Nerwinski, I think it's Nelson, finds Stroud down the wing. Stroud drives, he sends it in. Alm hits it on the volley. It's a very satisfying goal. And so they go up 1-0. Ostrak comes in for Klaus. Klaus turns out is going to miss the next 2 games, probably 10 to 14 days, what they said at the time. So we'll see. Celio comes in for Jared Stroud. Obviously, those subs made looking ahead to last night's game. And then Colorado makes all 5 of their substitutions after the 70th minute, and that really seemed to impact the game a lot. They're able to mount pressure again. I think these City players were just tired, and they kind of let the game get out of hand. And then Michael Barrios gets the game-tying goal off a nice assist from Diego Rubio, actually kind of setting him in and finally beating Bürki, which I think was very sad because he deserved the shutout, deserved the clean sheet in that game. And he went on a bit of a nihilist rant after the game too, which I thought was very satisfying.
Yeah, his rant at the end of the game was, they're becoming legendary, and I hope the rest of the team is good with it. That's my only concern, is that he puts the team on blast and not,
Yeah, I don't think there's any animosity there. I think it's like the guy's been there. He's been to the heights of the soccer world, really. And I think he's earned the right to say, I'd rather have nothing to do and win the games. Personally, I always want to win. I feel empty and disappointed. He deserves to be able to say that.
Yeah, it's definitely, you could see his reaction after the goal that they did score. It's definitely justified. I think that was our worst defensive breakdown on that play. I think the positive is he saved us a point that we definitely really didn't deserve. And, a point, anytime you get a point on the road, you can't be terribly upset. But
no, and Robin Fraser, we talked about this last week. Steven, you're on your scouting trip, so you weren't here for that conversation. Right. But we talked about, at least I made sure to mention that Robin Fraser is a very good manager, and I think he gets a lot out of his team. You know, he doesn't necessarily have the best players, but he always has them set up well. And in this case, when you're dealing with a team that's already kind of tired coming in, and then you're playing at altitude, they have a quick turnaround and they're a little bit rotated, and you can kind of take advantage of them in that way. So you get a point on the road, and that's nothing to be too mad about.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, I think what I wanted to see coming off of that was a good performance in the U.S. Open Cup, which we will talk about in a moment. But I am trying to stall and hope that Ian gets in here before we get there. Let's talk about some of the bad news and strange news and surprising news that came in while we were away, or before, while we were preparing for the game against Omaha. Klaus tweaked his groin. That was at the end of the Colorado match, right? Like in the
So he comes out in the 61st minute, which was a planned sub anyway, but also he had like just gone down moments before that. So
he's only supposed to miss the next 2 to 3 matches, which is obviously not great, but could be a lot worse. Long live Klaus, he will be back. And then Caden Glover tweaked his calf. He's working his way back, and that leaves, that and this next move, which we're going to talk about, leaves Gioacchini as the only striker on the main roster. But we also loaned Sam Adeniran. I want to pronounce that correctly. Adeniran. I screwed it up. I knew I'd heard it, and my brain just froze.
Dude, you're so good with pronunciations that one just slipped away. It's okay.
I blew it. He's been loaned back, correct, to San Antonio.
Yeah, he was there last year. He scored 12 goals in 23 games. So like, it's a place that he has thrived at previously, and I think probably a good spot for him right now. I think he's clearly only going to get a few minutes here and there at City this year, so let him develop a little bit more. I think it's a good move. It's a good move. It's just the timing of it's rough because now you're very depleted at the striker position.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's interesting though, because that decision, the other 2 are injuries, obviously. That decision is definitely on purpose. We did that. We made the choice. So I do wonder if it lends credence to the idea of us going after a designated player in that position in the summer, not necessarily Bobby Chompers, although those rumors persist.
You want it. Yeah, I think it at least speaks to the fact that they're looking at forward. Like they know that's the position that they need to be strengthened at.
And I think that makes sense because I think Klaus, it would be cool. Klaus is obviously Klaus. He's great, long live Klaus, but he's got his particular style, and it might make a lot of sense to have a guy that complements or offers something different from that style, less physical, I think more technical.
Gioacchini does that well, but I think Gioacchini is also, you can play him a couple different spots. So like I think Carnell just loves the flexibility that he has in these guys. And like you see from this game, like Celio and Aziel Jackson, or I guess not to get too much into the Open Cup game, but
we're stalling.
Celio and Aziel Jackson play up top, but they're really more of like, I don't know. I don't even know what I would call it. They almost are like more, they weren't false nines, but they definitely track back into the midfield, and we're interchanging with the wingers a lot. So there's a lot of like positional flexibility there that I think is fascinating.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Let's continue to stall by talking internationally for a little bit, because the Arsenal Premier League championship bid has totally collapsed completely.
Speaking of potential St. Louis strikers, Premier League, where one of them plays currently. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's your segue.
Thanks. But I think the last time I was on, we talked about Arsenal had just allowed that comeback to Liverpool, and we talked about, they are still should be in the driver's seat, but it really feels like they are screwed. Yeah, and now they're officially screwed.
Yeah, we pointed to this game specifically, saying that if Manchester City win, that they're screwed. And Manchester City, they won. They looked very dominant. So Arsenal still technically on top of the league, technically in charge of their own destiny. But I see no possible scenario.
I don't think they are, because Man City has 2 games.
Oh, do they? Yeah, they have games in hand, don't they? You're right.
2. So yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, it's done. It's over. It's over.
I wonder what the 538 Premier League says that Man City has a 92.5. Oh, wait, that's hold on. That's qualify for the UCL, a 90% chance to win the league. Arsenal has a 10% chance, and that's it.
I mean, yeah. You look at that, you also look at like Man City hasn't lost. They haven't even dropped points since February. They haven't lost since like the beginning of February to Tottenham. So like that's a team that is just playing the best football in the world right now. Like they're not going to lose the rest of the season. I'm fairly comfortable saying that outside of the Champions League matchups.
Yeah. They will lose the Champions League final because they are still managed by Pep Guardiola.
I think, they'll get past Real Madrid to lose like Napoli. Yeah, that'd be
great. That would be beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I feel really bad for Arsenal because I don't
feel bad for it.
Here's the thing. I don't really, but Jeff might listen to this. And if he listens to it, I'm hoping he hears the part where I said I feel bad for Arsenal and then just stops. But no, I mean, I don't feel bad for Arsenal because they're Arsenal and they're Kroenke owned and all that stuff. I do feel a little bad because I feel bad for their fans because they are trying. They're trying.
Yeah. I also feel bad for Mikel Arteta. I think he's too handsome to be so sad. That's something that weighs on me.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. And I think it's interesting because they were so close. And now if you told anyone, this is the funny thing. If you had told anyone that they would win, that they would come in second in the Premier League this year, I think any Arsenal fan would have been thrilled with that at the time. And now that they've done it, it's like, oh, that's a huge disappointment.
Yeah, especially after being in first place for so long. I think it gets your hopes up and your expectations up, and then
exactly.
But it's like what we talked about with Liverpool in their past few years of you have to be absolutely perfect to win the Premier League. To outpace Manchester City because they had that slow start to the season, but that wasn't going to last, obviously. And they just dropped too many points. I mean, they had 3 straight draws and they lost this one, so that's just not good enough for a title contender.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what makes Man City, I think, such a dominating force and makes them so hard to overcome is just that they are, inevitable.
As much as I hate everything they stand for, they are playing some gorgeous football right now, though.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's hard to really hate on it too much. And Haaland setting the Premier League scoring record today, bit too easy, I would say. It's a bit too easy for him over there.
Yeah, I think he should transfer to Lille or someplace.
I said Real Salt Lake actually was my shout. I think.
Oh yeah, that would be good. Can you imagine him in the Premier League? I mean, can you imagine it? That would be so ridiculous.
And I want to see Erling Haaland against Sporting Kansas City and just see what they have to do. So how they would even approach that.
That would be hilarious. I'm in for it. I'm down. Well, I don't know. Have we heard from Ian? I'm trying to give the man the benefit of the doubt.
I think we should just go into it. Ian was at the game yesterday. That's why we were waiting for it. It was full disclosure to everyone watching. But
I am texting him that I am officially disappointed in him.
But I think we can go through the preview a little bit. If he hops on, he hops on.
Let's talk about owl-on-owl violence. As everyone knows, St. Louis City, the official mascot is the Owls. None of this dogs nonsense, nothing.
No Hellcat nonsense. They're the Owls. It's just what they are. They play at the Roost. Everyone knows this.
We don't need to tell you why. That's not our job. You just need to accept it. Okay? This isn't story time with Justin and Steven. We're not going to be talking about any murders.
We didn't make it up, but we will embrace it.
That's right. Exactly. And you don't need to worry about bodies at the bottom of stairs. So anyway.
And while there are a lot of staircases at City Park, just be careful. That's all. Just be careful.
If you ask too many questions, especially be careful, because that's what usually gets people in trouble.
Yeah.
Union Omaha came to St. Louis City for what I believe they said was the largest third round attendance of all time in the
largest,
US.
largest third round attendance, the 10th highest attendance of all time, which they're not
I
going to
would
top that
imagine
because that's a sellout. So
more impressive because there are many teams in MLS who have bigger venues than we do. So
yeah, right.
That makes it very impressive.
It's yeah, they got a lot of people to the US Open Cup, and like MLS teams have struggled with that, and obviously St. Louis being new team on the block, there's a lot of excitement there. You know, cheaper tickets too. This is like a lot of people's first chance to actually see the team, so a lot going for them. But the previous number 10 team, Sporting Kansas City's 2017 final game, they beat that out, and SKC. I'm not sure what their attendance is. Hold on, I need to check what.
Is SKC gonna sue us because they had the copyright on having the most attendance in a
the 10th most, Stephen. The 10th most attendance. Maybe.
Attendance. What I mean, I love this. I love that they're trying to make a domestic cup work. It is pretty popular, and I think it's growing, and that's cool. It was cool to see a different team, you know.
CMP fits 21,500, so yeah, they're not as big as City Park anyway.
I'm sure that our listeners have already heard the dulcet tones of Adam Duritz and Counting Crows singing Omaha to open this podcast, because what else could we use? But it was cool to have that game, and it was cool to have it be a dominating win. And I think I texted you after the game, and I think this was my only deep insight, really, was that I believe I can officially stop waiting for this team to have the fall on its face moment. Like, I just kept worrying that somewhere along the line we were going to have that moment where we just embarrassed ourselves and didn't look like a professional soccer team, and proved that, like, to some extent we were making it up. Ian, welcome. Well, so nice of you to join us. But, you know, to some extent we were faking our way through it, and that the early run was just luck, and not that we were a god-awful team, but that we were just doing better than we had right to be doing. And I think we're just a good team. We're just a quality team with well-coached, a great system, and, you know, deeper than you would think, because this is basically an all backups team that we started. And obviously we're playing a USL team. We know that. We're not pretending that it's a higher quality opponent than it is, but we went out and dominated from the very get-go of this thing against a team that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they made some waves in last year's Open Cup.
Yeah, they made it to the quarterfinal. So eventually losing to SKC.
Changed coaches and lost some talent since then. But definitely, I think it was a more significant win than people might give it credit for, just because it was kind of that. We've overcome another test. We've got young players and backup players that are going to make a big difference. And we played really well with, you know, what amounts to a half backup and half City squad. So what are your thoughts, Justin?
I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, people were saying that, like, obviously Union Omaha's run last year, I think, peppered a lot of people's expectations, but there were multiple pundits calling for a cup set in this match. So, like, that got me a little bit worried. But, like, I think it's fair to say, after this game, after, you know, some of the other lopsided numbers we've seen, that this team can, like, take care of business against not lesser opponents, not to, like, talk down, but, like, obviously there's a talent gap there. Yeah. And, like, I think the way that Carnell can, like, frame these games of, like, go out there, this is your chance to potentially win a first team spot, like, I think that was a huge motivating factor too.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Ian, you were there live, I'm led to believe. I'm hoping you can hear us now and have joined us with your microphone and everything. How are you doing, first of all? How's things?
I'm on.
You're live.
Live on air.
You're live. We're live, pal.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Just ask your question. It was great. It was a great experience overall. Like, I thought the entirety of getting to the stadium and getting in the stadium and getting food at the stadium and getting my seats at the stadium. The dogs are excited about it.
Oh, they love it.
They love it. I think everything outside of the game, which in and of itself was great, was like just a great first experience at the stadium.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll say you talk now, so these dogs will calm down.
Okay. I can talk more. It was cool to see AZ Jackson score right out the hop. I think that was awesome. And we are AZ Jackson truthers here. Had 2 goals in total, just a great performance overall, and probably I would say especially with the injuries and changes we've had up front, definitely I would think earned a little more of a look on the first team. So that was cool. Who else did you like in this game as far as players go, Justin?
Yeah, I thought Cilio played phenomenal too, which is like, not to say that's like surprising because he's been able to do that like at MLS Next Pro and things, but he was kind of like the last man signed, so to say, like from the Next Pro team, and he had 3 assists, 6 chances created. He had a goal that was later ruled an own goal because it was a deflected cross, but I wanted to give it to him.
They need to fix that.
They need to fix that for sure. Yeah, and like
I think it's a little ridiculous that own goals, if they just touch another person, they're an own goal. Like, really an intended shot.
So upsetting to me.
I think Jeff had it best. He said someone has to draw the line, and you ask where do you draw the line, and you say that's not my job. But someone needs to draw that line. I mean, it was pretty impressive because they only started like maybe 2-3 regulars, like a few guys that sub in normally. I was even telling Jeff, I'm like, so who do they sub in? I'm like, are they playing this whole team the whole game? Do they sub people in? And when they put Leuven in and they put Stroud in, I'm like, well, this seems mean.
It was very unfair. So Leuven comes in like the 80th minute and initially like dribbles through the entire Omaha midfield, and you're like, this guy just does not need to be playing this game.
Yeah, it was so mean. It was even deflected to him, and it was like he knew it would deflect to him. He received it with such grace. So like, yes, as I had predicted, and then scored. It was kind of funny. I was just like, okay, I guess you have to sub in someone. I kind of expected them to just sort of like putts around, unless it would have been, like a tie game or like a 1-goal game. But with it definitely being like 3-0 at that point, 4-0, it was like, okay, you guys, you don't have to really do anything. Maybe we're just gonna get some running in, get some reps. And I was like, oh shit, they're actually like going for the jugular again, as if they hadn't already. I mean, it was a very impressive win. We saw 2 people there that were from Omaha, or I don't know, they were rooting for Omaha.
Yeah, give us that insight. It's fascinating.
That was fun. When they scored their 1 goal, they tried to get an Olay chant going. They seemed like fun folks. There was the only 2 people I saw. I was like, are they from Omaha and they live here, or did they drive all the way from Omaha to here?
I will say, Union Omaha had their fan section. They made a decent amount of noise like at the end of the half.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
I was thinking about this. This isn't really a soccer point, but I feel like Omaha has an outsized cultural impact based on the kind of city it is. You've got Mutual of Omaha, you've got Omaha Steaks, the Oracle of Omaha, of course, Warren Buffett headquartered in Omaha.
I didn't even,
Berkshire Hathaway headquartered in Omaha.
So. Well, I was telling Ian last podcast that like I always think of the Jack Hanna from the Omaha Zoo, like, that has an outside impact on.
I forgot that he was from there, but you're right. Yeah. So a lot of things going on.
Omaha, man, who would have thought?
Their mayor apparently is just a piece of shit. So their mayor's a piece of shit, according to some guy.
According to a guy who comments on Twitter posts.
He said whoever wins the game, whoever loses the game has to have her as the mayor.
I'm not comfortable with that guy's outsized impact of his opinion right now.
That family,
a lot of time on this podcast.
That family suffered the wrath of that mayor's family at some point or another, and this man is going to take that hatred to his grave. It was kind of funny because I was like, if you drive from Omaha to St. Louis, what a road trip! What maybe quite possibly the most boring road trip known to man, but you can make it.
I think that is, because I'm not even sure if that takes you like through KC. I think that just like takes you like the north way down, right?
To St. John's and then down through, I would think.
Well, do you think you go through Kirksville? You think you take a pit stop in Kirksville?
Let's see. Directions from St. Louis to Omaha.
Make sure it's like a bus
it does
route
go
too.
It does go Kansas City.
It does take you through KC.
Oh
So
God,
at least
I
you
can't
get.
imagine. With respect, Justin, just the torture of driving 4 hours across 70 across Missouri.
I mean, it's pretty rough.
Credit to you for doing that.
I do it frequently.
Multiple times.
There's two stretches, right? There's the pre-Columbia. I always stop in Columbia because it's like not exactly halfway, but it's like my way of being halfway. So
where's your Columbia stop?
So I have two. I usually either stop at the Loves, that's like a little bit of a ways out, or I stop at the QT.
The QT at like the intersection of the entire state at 61 and 70. Okay, of course, yeah.
And that
stuff QT must make bank. Do you ever think about that?
It has to, right?
About how much money that place must make? It's literally the center of the state. Like
the stretch between KC and Columbia is just like once you get out of KC, it's just the worst drive you could ever imagine.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. Not like the other half of that stretch is much better. You know, there used to be apparently the McDonald's in Kingdom City used to be really cool, and now it's just kind of like whatever. And I hate that.
Like too. Modern.
Yeah. It used to have like fish tanks. Was all according to Mr. Koski. And
when did he tell us this?
Yeah. But it used to have like fish tanks, and it's called the McStop. It still is called the McStop, but apparently it's just not that exciting anymore. So I don't know, man. But anyway, it was a great game. Great victory for our
all
boys.
This to say.
All this is to say that it was wonderful for us to take commanding role. We haven't had the draw yet, right? It's Thursday night.
Yeah, that'll be Thursday. We got some good games tonight. As you're listening to this, as we're recording this, there was a cup set last night. Monterey Bay beat San Jose, which I'm just done putting my faith in San Jose, I guess, because they always let me down.
I don't know how I feel about cup set, by the way. I'm not,
you don't like it? You're not a fan?
Not sold.
I just feel like it's just an unnecessary inclusion.
I think it's trademark. I think anytime you talk about an upset in the U.S. Open Cup, you have to call it a cup.
Is that what? Is it a U.S. Open Cup specifically? Because I've never heard,
their lawyers will come after you if you don't call it an upset. Yeah,
I've never heard
Lamar coined that term.
Lamar Hunt is rolling over in his grave if you don't call it.
He coined that.
I've never heard a British person be like, "Oh, MK Dons beat Southampton in a dramatic cup set on."
That's not cheeky enough. I don't know.
It's definitely that is a very cheeky American sports term for sure. Yeah. That is like mascot, I think.
They just call it, if you lose when you're not supposed to lose, they just call it like the drizzling shits or whatever.
Yeah.
Shite, complete shite.
Is this picture that you included of AZ Jackson and Lutz running on the field?
This is my favorite picture. So after the game, I guess I don't know what was happening, but Lutz and AZL Jackson were on like the other side of the pitch when they all like went over to the sports section to do their thing. And like AZ, I guess, led Lutz by the hand to get over there.
That's a small child and their adoptive father.
That's exactly. Lutz is a dad to AZ Jackson, I guess, is what this picture is giving me.
Come on, Papa. That's cool. Who do you think? I mean, maybe I'm leading this question based on who we're talking about, but do you think anyone made an impact such that they should get a look in the first team now?
I mean, I think Azeel Jackson should. And I think he's been at that level for a while. So Cardinal talked about this a little bit after the game too. He's been playing a lot of minutes because if he's not in the lineup, they'll have him stay back and play with City 2 just to keep him sharp. So I think they see him as a player who potentially does make an impact on the first team. And this performance and the performances that he's had this year, I feel like he's earned that. Him and Celia, I think Celia's performance too was good with his corroboration that he had with Vaslev and things. I think those two specifically, Miggy Perez, I thought was very good for the 90. He had a play where he tracked back at least 30 yards to cleanly dispossess somebody in the midfield. So he was just all over the place this game.
Yeah, it was a good game. Good showing from pretty much everybody. I thought we looked good all around, and I'm excited to see the next round.
Ian, did anyone jump off the page at you in your first in-person viewing?
I thought Miggy looked really good. I thought he seemed aggressive but balanced, like not making any like crazy aggressive plays, but the ones that he did make seemed to turn to his favor. Obviously, Zeal Jackson. What else can you say? But yeah, I mean, I like Pedro too. I thought he made some good plays like off the wing. Or like I noticed him a lot, at least in like the second half when he was kind of more on our side. I was just impressed overall that your kind of like young / B squad was able to put together like such a solid performance. Like I definitely thought, well, we should win this, but there's a chance just because you're not fielding your A squad necessarily. It could be a cup set, as you say, but as Lamar says,
I will tolerate Downtown West out of necessity.
A cup set in Downtown West, Stephen would blow his gasket.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I just think overall for a young squad, like Watts, I think looked really good too. Like they impressed, and I also thought like guys like Ostrog and Vasilev looked really good as like vets out there. I was a little worried that Vasilev got like hurt. I don't know. He was nursing something in the first half, and then the second half
said it was just a knock. So
okay, because in the second half he just took a break because it was like 3-0. I was like, he's decided to cash it in.
I love soccer terms.
Steven, what is the severity of a knock exactly?
Is more severe than nothing and less severe than an injury.
What about a twinge? Where would you rate
a twinge would be above a knock.
Okay.
But below, there's another term, and I can't think of what it is, but there is another term they use for like not a serious injury, but a blow. They do say that's a blow. Like he'll be out for a while. That's a blow.
They said that Klaus tweaked his groin. So tweak, I guess, is like 2 weeks. If you have to miss like 2 weeks, that's a tweak.
2 weeks tweak.
Perfect. It works out beautifully.
All right. So I'm glad that we got to the bottom of that.
I was a little sad that he was injured and thus couldn't sub in. I was a little disappointed. I did see
it would have been the perfect game for like a 4-goal Klaus performance.
I sort of like corner of my eye. I saw someone in the crowd walking up next to us that looked like a doppelganger. I was like, he's fucking just waiting in the stands. He's gonna jump on.
He would be just like walking around the stadium.
That'd be a
taking in the sights. Yeah.
I'd be okay with it. We have another game coming up on Saturday, hosting Portland FC, who we resoundingly beat. I wouldn't say resoundingly. That's a little small.
We're that good.
But we beat 2-1 in our first game.
Resounding 2-1 victory.
Second half, come from behind goals by Jared Stroud. That was at the end of the first in extra time, and Kyle Hebert to win that one 2-1 in Portland. Portland currently sitting at 10th in the Western Conference. Not a very good team. They have had 2 wins, 2 draws, and 5 losses. Do they get a sixth loss on Saturday, Justin?
I say they do. Wow. I'm interested to see how this goes because Portland, I think, can game plan really well against teams. Like you saw that in the game against Seattle that they won 4-1. It's like they've been atrocious all year, and then they beat the best team in MLS. Like, you can't take this team lightly with the players that they have and like everything they've been through. But Eric Williamson is hurt. Like he tore his ACL. That hurts if you're Portland.
I'd imagine.
I just don't see like Yumi Chara still hurt. Sebastian Blanco is injured. Like there's Felipe Mora is injured. There's a lot of names in that team that are banged up. Like I think that Bradley Carnell will have everyone ready too, like playing at home, getting a second chance at an opponent. I feel pretty positive about it.
Ian, what are your thoughts?
They better win. After that disappointing showing on Saturday. Yeah, I think they'll actually be ready to kind of prove that was a little bit of a misstep, that draw with Colorado. And I don't know, like you're saying when I hopped on, like I want to always think that maybe they're gonna falter a bit and kind of come back down to earth, but I really haven't seen it yet. I mean, I've seen some flaws. I've seen them slow down a bit, but I just really haven't seen the bottom come out. So I can't really say that I expect them to lose until I see it happen.
Yeah, I think I think they deserve some of the benefit of the doubt, right? Like against a team that's been struggling. And Portland are going to have a day less rest. They play Orange County SC tonight in their Open Cup match, so that plays in our favor, I think. Yeah.
That's right. Less rest.
I also
makes you
think
less best.
I also think that this will be a win. I think we're just a good team and continue to prove that at every opportunity we're given. It'd be nice to see the defense sharpen a little after last game not being so great. That would be the biggest thing I'm looking for. And then finding out, where the attack center, what the focal point of the attack is without Klaus and who steps in there. I think those will be the two big questions to answer, but I definitely think they're capable of doing it. And I think they'll at least pick up a point, and I tend to think they will win. But I guess that's why they play the games, is to answer questions like
that's why they play the games.
So any other soccer topics that we'd like to talk about? Ian, what did Tottenham do last weekend?
Yeah, big old wet fart. And that, that's probably being too kind, because that's at least something.
I thought it's funny that we were like so down on them last week, and then they
surpassed our very expectations of how shit they could be. Yeah, it's over. I mean, already wasn't feeling that great about it, but it's over. They play Manchester United tomorrow. Like it's not like actually over, but like again, they haven't shown me anything to feel good about in like the last month.
They fired their caretaker manager, which is something I wasn't aware that you could do. Ian, what are your thoughts?
yeah. I do like that you can just fire you go, this is the new guy, he's the backup, he'll be here for a while. And you're like, not good enough. Actually not good enough. I mean, that should be good just because he was in the Conte regime and was essentially Conte Jr. So I honestly don't know. Do they have like a third coach that is now their coach? Is he also part of the Conte regime?
I don't know how you thought firing Conte would like be enough of a change to like buoy them back into the Champions League spots. Like that doesn't make any sense to me at all. I don't know what they're doing, really.
Floundering. I mean, at the very least, I don't know. It's one of those things where then I just think about Arsenal, and then I'm sort of like, well, I can complain. There's lots to complain about, but I'm like, I guess I'm not going to lose the league as a whole. So
yeah, here we go, Ian. Some teams that might make you feel better about where Tottenham are at. Everton probably getting relegated. I think that's safe to say. Chelsea have lost again. They have lost 4 of their last 5, with the other result there being a draw. I don't think they're safe from relegation. They're in 11th place, but I think they might lose every single game the rest of the season. So
currently, according to 538, the Chelsea does have a less than 1% chance of being relegated, but that does mean they have a greater than 0% chance.
There is a chance.
Especially
if Frank Lampard is still the coach this entire time, like they are going down.
Southampton has a 90% chance to be relegated, Everton a 63% chance, and Nottingham Forest a 58% chance. Although I will say, if Nottingham Forest can average 2 long throw-ins per game, they may still win the league. There's a good chance that they can maneuver themselves into position to win this league from 18th place with 30.
They look surprisingly good against Brighton today. I was very... I don't know if that's just like one of those games where like a shit team just looks good all of a sudden, but...
That game when they played Liverpool, that was chaos. That was... Liverpool dominated the first half, and then they scored early in the second, and I thought, okay, even with Liverpool, they're going to coast the rest of the way. And then it didn't happen, So anyway, that game was a lot of fun, but it was crazy in its own way.
Liverpool are back up.
That's right.
That's what you're saying.
That's my point. Yeah, I mean, Liverpool's got a very winnable. If they can just have a good end to the year, I mean, their chances of making the Champions League spots are very low, but 17% according to our friends at 538. Yeah, I just would like to see them just have a strong finish to the season.
Yeah, Liverpool really shot themselves in the foot.
I would like them to show us that them stopping the pursuit of Jude Bellingham stories are all just a classic misdirect, as they have been with Alisson and Virgil van Dijk and others in the past.
So there's a history here.
All of those people, we were told at one point that Liverpool had stopped their pursuit, that it was too expensive, etc.
All I know is that if this just ends in Jude Bellingham going to Manchester City, I'm going to stop watching.
I quit the Premier League. I actually might. Like if it's Real Madrid, I'll hate it, but I'll be like, whatever. If it's Man City, I might actually stop.
Done. Yeah, that's it.
I might pick like Serie A next year or something. Any other soccer thoughts? Any other soccer talk, my fellow lads? Wow, I'm never doing that again.
Wow, really pulled it full circle.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah, that was rough. Final thoughts. Anyway,
I saw Steve, whatever his name is, the lead singer of the Urge, at Steve's Hot Dogs behind the desk. I was like, what? Why are you here?
His hot dog place?
Yeah,
Steve. That is the Steve of Steve's Hot Dogs, dude.
Yeah,
for real? Wow.
Yeah.
Were you like, hey, you're all washed up?
Part of me literally was like, I can't remember the names of your songs, but I remember your songs. It was just like, say that to him, and I wonder if
hey, it's getting hectic in here. Am I right?
You get it?
I fucking hate that band.
This guy
ruined my life. My life's now about hot dogs, so I've told the reporters no questions about the Urge.
That's why they won't let me back in Steve's Hot Dogs.
Yeah. That's why nobody watches AOL Blast.
That's right. Unprofessional bullshit. All right, folks. Ian's dogs have officially gone crazy again. We have referenced the Urge.
They said enough talking about Steve from Steve's Hot Dogs.
They don't want to hear the word hot and dog that close together ever again. So they are asking us to get out of here. But folks, we will be back next week talking about the hopefully glorious defeat of Portland and much more in the soccer world. Until then, keep it breezy, keep it easy, and don't eat too much cheesy. Anyone else?
If that flies, then and you have a problem with Downtown West, you're gonna come in here with that kind of nonsense, Steven.
Okay, all right. I was gonna let this podcast.
Oh no!
But I have a problem with Downtown West because it doesn't exist. All right, that's my problem with Downtown West. You will never convince me otherwise, and that's all that I need to say on the matter. So, you and your professional scruples, you're a whore for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and you're towing the company line, even though you don't work for them.
Downtown West has been mentioned in St. Louis Magazine countless times at this point.
I'm aware because you're sneaking it in there to perpetuate a conspiracy theory. This is exactly what you do. You get it adopted by mainstream media, whatever.
It's ranking high in the Google search results. That's all.
Oh my God, it's ranking nowhere. It doesn't mean anything. The Google search is nothing. I hate everything. I hate Downtown West, and I hate all of you.
We've come full circle. Steven's not going to be on the pod next week.
Are we done? Are we done here? Are you all satisfied? Is your bloodlust satisfied? Where's this restaurant you're going to tonight, Justin?
Oh, we're going to Jay's Pateria. It's here.
Oh, it's good.
It's here in South County. Yeah, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite Mediterranean spots.
Is that down in Downtown West?
Not downtown. Down here in South County.
South County. Wow.
Yeah. Right across the street from Ronnie's.
That's
the
right.
Former Ronnie's.
It's not Ronnie's anymore?
What is it now? Or is it still Ronnie's?
I think it's still Ronnie's.
What have you all done to my city?
It's not run by Ronnie's though. It's run by
Marcus.
Marcus,
whatever.
yeah. They always come on before the guy who runs Marcus. He always comes on before the movies, and he's real awkward. But you have to watch them because you bought a ticket, and he puts himself in front of every movie screen. So
just thank God for coming out here, not streaming stuff. Am I right, folks? Streaming's for nerds.
Streaming's for nerds. Turn that goddamn phone off and enjoy the movie.
That's pretty much the message. So.
Here's me and my brother awkwardly acting, and you have to watch us. It's part of the press admission.
Because
I know he does look like he's trying to get an acting career off of Rick and ground at age 65.
We actually wanted to be in the movies, but now we just show you the movies. So.
Popcorn, am I right?
Right. Who doesn't want a good popcorn sesh? Well, this podcast has gone on 5 minutes too long. Any more wild conspiracy theories you want to spin, guys?
No, I've reached my limit today, actually.
No, Jay's Peteria, very good. That's not a conspiracy theory.
Everyone, Justin just tacitly admitted that Downtown West is a conspiracy theory.
No, I had no idea.
Have a wonderful evening and good night.
Adios.